Hi guys, it's Tiffany from the blog growingdawn.com. I'm going to be talking about 4 mistakes that we made in our first year of cow ownership. Okay, so here we are. This is the first video since I rebranded the channel. I hope you've decided to stick around. It's been a little over a year since we made our first YouTube video, which is our most popular video, and I think is just hilarious because that video is so low quality, and of course you have to start somewhere, right? But still, it's just like, can YouTube not pick a different video or a better, more high quality video to promote? No, they had to pick that one, which is borderline embarrassing, but hey, gotta take what we can get, right? But I am grateful that we did that video because it has brought a lot of you here. And since there are so many of you interested in our mini Jersey cow, today I wanted to share these 4 things that we've learned since we brought Beulah home a year ago. And these are actually 4 things that we would have done differently. So thanks for being here. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. So if you're new here, my husband and I bought a miniature Jersey heifer last May, and we bought her with the intention of making her a family milk cow. We have only 1 acre of our personal land. We do have neighbors that have more acreage around us that they are gracious to, just kind of let us not use for Beulah necessarily, but I know that they would if we really needed to. But we are raising her on just 1 acre of land. Okay, so just a quick backstory on Beulah first, actually. When we got Beulah, our mini Jersey, she was 15 months old, and that's considered to be like around the minimum breeding age for Jersey cows, for the Jersey breed. We had already planned out how we wanted to breed her before we even got her. We knew that we wanted to go with the artificial insemination process instead of the live bull for obvious reasons, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. But our hope when we first got her was that she would be producing milk for us within a year. Well, that obviously didn't go according to plan. You can go back and watch all of our other mini Jersey videos to kind of see our story and, follow along to where we are now, which Beulah is finally pregnant now, but we still have a ways to go before she actually calves. So I guess the reason that I'm starting with this is because I want to encourage those of you who are new to having livestock of any kind, cows, goats, pigs, whatever. We're all starting from square one, and we're all learning things along the way. So if things don't go according to plan, that's okay. And if you are researching right now, trying to decide if you want to take the leap into buying a cow or some other kind of livestock animal, just know that it's probably not going to go according to plan. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't do your research and make a plan, but just expect it to go differently than what you think. So these mistakes, we don't regret any of these mistakes because obviously we've learned a lot from them. We learned something through every step of the process, and now through those mistakes I get to encourage you on your own journey. But I do want to share them so that maybe you can learn from what we went through and find cow raising success even quicker than we did. Let's dive in. The first mistake that we made was not thinking through building a stall, or not thinking through where Beulah was actually going to bed down. Now, we did have a space for her. What we originally did was in our barn shed, Stephen built a stall area in the back of our workshop, which the workshop side of our barn shed has a plywood floor. And I mean, looking back now, it was like, what were we thinking putting a cow on a plywood floor. And I mean, of course we covered it with straw so that she had a soft place to lay, but it didn't take long and that floor was smelly and rotting and, you know, from all the pee and poop and stuff like that. So yeah, I am a little ashamed that we didn't think of that sooner, but hey, it is what it is. It wasn't long after we had her in that area that we finally realized that we needed to figure something else out. And the other half of our shed was like older. It's more of an original part of the barn shed. It's kind of hard to explain, but our shed has an original barnwood section, and then it has a section that was added onto it. That's the workshop part that has the plywood floor. So we took the barnwood part, we ripped up the barnwood planks that made the floor and just exposed the dirt underneath and turned that whole half into Beulah's stall, and that is her stall now. The reason we didn't do that in the first place, I think, is because we thought we really needed that for storage. That was like where we stored our lawnmower and like other big things that needed stored. But after having her in that little stall in the back of the workshop for a little while, we realized that, you know, we could make it work and we could put the lawnmower in the workshop part for now. And we actually just finished a little lean-to addition. So now we have the workshop space and we have space to store our mower and all of the motorized things. And yeah, so that stall that Stephen built in the beginning was pretty. I was very impressed by it. But now it's pretty much useless. We store hay in there. So the second mistake that we made last year was waiting too long to buy hay, and I think we talked about this a little bit in another video as well, or Stephen did. Last year we didn't even start looking into hay until I think like late October. And you know, if you know anything about simple supply and demand, the demand for hay in the summer is lower, but it's available in abundance, which means it's cheaper. And if you wait until winter, then the demand is high, but the supply is low. So you're going to be paying a premium price. So one thing that I would encourage you, if you are new to owning livestock, is think about buying hay early in the year. Maybe like early summer. I think this year we will be looking into buying hay like within the next month or so. It's June. We want to get a head start on hay. We know that we can get better quality hay for a cheaper price and, you know, be good to go and be all prepared. But the reason I think that we didn't buy hay, for us, the main reason that we didn't buy hay soon enough is because we didn't really have our storage worked out. We should have gotten all of that worked out and done well before October, and really even before we bought a cow. We should have had some kind of storage worked out in place to store hay. So that's something you may want to think about before you take the leap into buying a cow. That was the second thing. The third mistake I would say that we made is not supplementing with enough minerals. And there's so much to learn about this subject. It can almost be overwhelming when you're first bringing your cow home and learning about what she needs to thrive and all of that. But I will say that when we first got Beulah, I didn't understand the importance of supplementing her with certain minerals. And looking back, I can kind of see how the lack of doing that had an effect on other things that we did with her. Like for example, selenium is very important to supplement with because it improves fertility, it improves immune function, and it's not always going to be found just in your general salt block. Like we bought the first salt block that we saw when we got Beulah because we thought she just needed a salt block. We didn't necessarily think about the specific minerals that she needed. Eventually we bought her a block that specifically had selenium in it, and I really think that helped a lot. Another thing that I waited too long to start doing is giving her baking soda. I just give her baking soda free choice. The reason I give her baking soda is because it stabilizes the rumen, which improves digestion. It neutralizes the pH in her body. Another thing that I want to start doing soon, I'm not doing it right now. Why is that blinking? Why is that? What was I talking about? 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 Oh yeah. Another thing that I want to supplement her with that I haven't started doing yet, because I believe it's more important during the winter when they're not on grass. But I want to supplement her with kelp, because kelp is a one-stop source for a lot of important minerals like copper, iron, magnesium, and zinc. You can get it in the dried form and just give it to them as needed. Mineral supplementation is so important to maintain immune and reproductive health in your cow, and that is something that I wish I had understood before we brought Beulah home. So the last thing, if you've been following along for a while, I'm sure you probably could have guessed, but that is trying to breed by artificial insemination. Now, I'm definitely not saying that artificial insemination is a bad choice for everyone. I mean, I can't say that. Obviously, it is a great option. There's many benefits to it. That is why we chose to go that route in the beginning. But for us, it wasn't a good choice. Now, you have to look at your specific situation and evaluate for yourself. What is going to make the most sense for me? And what kind of risk am I willing to take? But looking back, I can kind of see why AI didn't work for us. For one thing, Beulah is very small. She is only 37 inches tall, and I've read that for really small breeds, it's actually more difficult for the semen to get to where it needs to go. So it is actually less likely that AI will work, so maybe that's why. But also there was the mineral thing I didn't really understand. We were new. I mean, who knows what else played a factor in that, as far as us just being inexperienced and not knowing what we were doing. We hired an AI tech to do the breeding every time, so I definitely don't think it was her fault at all. We did try both the natural heat cycle method and the hormone shot method, so maybe it was me, because I gave her the shots. Maybe I did it wrong. Who knows? There's lots of reasons why it could have gone the way it did, and we'll never know. But for us, we kind of learned the hard way that it wasn't worth it. We spent like a third of what we spent on trying to AI her to send her to another farm and be bred with this miniature Dexter bull. So again, if you're new, we sent Beulah to a farm to stay with a mini wild red Dexter bull for a couple of months, and that is how she got bred. So originally we tried AI. We got straws from a specific mini Jersey bull that had great genetics, but in the end it just didn't work out. We paid a lot of money for those straws. We paid a lot of money to have the insemination done, but it just didn't work out. So for us, it got to the point where after the AI didn't work, we considered selling her, and we ended up coming into contact with this lady that had a miniature wild red Dexter, and she was willing to let us bring Beulah to her farm for a couple of months so that she could be bred. And it was actually way easier and cheaper than going through AI 3 times it was. So yes, we wish that we had just gone with the bull in the first place. And I know that's not an option for everyone, but it is something that you want to consider when you're thinking about what breed of cow you want to get. For us, I don't think we fully understood how difficult it would be to breed a miniature Jersey cow, almost micro miniature. We didn't know how difficult it would be to find a live bull to match her with if we did want to use a live bull, and we didn't know how difficult it would be to get AI to work. So that's something that you want to think about. Just kind of have that plan in your mind if you end up going with a miniature Jersey. Those are the 4 mistakes that we made That doesn't necessarily mean that they will be mistakes for you. I hope that this video gave you some ideas, some things to think about if you are looking into buying your own family milk cow. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate you watching my videos. Please like this video. Also, I would love to hear from you as far as where you are in your homesteading journey. I love to hear from you guys that watch and just learn more about where you're at and what you're learning along the way. So be sure to share that in a comment below. And make sure you subscribe for more content on faith, farm, and home.